Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a marketing manager here at the Natural History Museum. My role here is a generalist marketing role, so I cover a range of things including digital advertising, out of home, brand partnerships and CRM. Before joining the museum, I worked in the music industry, so I ran campaigns for record labels across various different genres of music. The Natural History Museum is one of the world's most visited museums and probably most associated with Charles Darwin and Dippy the dinosaur. But as well as this, it's also a world-leading science research centre. Here at the museum, we care for over 80 million objects and we have over 5 million visitors come through our doors each year. Our mission is to create advocates for the planet and we aim to inspire people to care about the natural world. We run lots of different events and tours and we house various galleries and exhibitions like the annual Wildlife Photographer of the Year exhibition. But today we're going to be talking about our current exhibition called Space, Could Life Exist Beyond Earth? It's a big focus for the museum this year, so it's something we're spending a significant amount of time and resource on, and it explores what scientists know about the life that could exist out there beyond our planet. The exhibition is very interactive and immersive, so you can touch a real piece of Mars and the Moon, you can smell what scientists think other planets might smell like, and you can see what sort of creatures might be lurking out there in space. The museum is free to enter and donations are optional, but this exhibition is ticketed, so it's a commercial opportunity for us, and therefore ticket sales are paramount. We work with Rowena and the rest of our media agency, Crafted, across our paid and free offerings to ensure our paid digital advertising campaigns are as successful as possible.
I'm a senior advertising strategist at Crafted, a digital marketing agency. We have clients from across the museums and cultural attractions sector, which is also what I specialise in. I work with Amy and the wider marketing team at the Natural History Museum to produce digital advertising campaigns across Google, social and audio to advertise all the amazing things they have here at the Natural History Museum, from events, exhibitions to their online offerings. Space is one of the biggest campaigns for us this year, so we spent a decent amount of time on the channel mix, strategy and ad types to produce success. We've been evolving and amending the campaign since we launched in May over the past several months.
So what we're going to take you through today is how we went about planning and launching the digital advertising campaign for the Space exhibition. So we're going to focus primarily on social activity, which we approached quite differently to previous campaigns, and then we'll talk through our successes and what we learned from this new approach to paid social. When it comes to digital marketing at the museum, we have separate teams working on paid and organic social as they perform different functions for us. Our paid social campaigns are much more focused on specific objectives like selling tickets, driving traffic, and generating newsletter sign-ups. Whereas organic social focuses on awareness and engagement. It speaks to a large audience where different followers have lots of different interests. For instance, some of our followers could have a passion for Gothic architecture and others might just be interested in our dinosaurs. Organic social is also more likely to be where we reach people who are invested in the museum and might be repeat visitors, whereas with paid social, we might be serving ads to people who have never visited the museum before. Sometimes we might use organic social assets for paid campaigns where the asset performs strongly and to share resources, but our targeting will always be much more granular with paid campaigns. So that we can use budgets effectively, we're very strategic with our paid social, so we target different audiences with specific content and specific messages based on the objective we're trying to achieve with that specific audience. So we might target a warm audience with ticket conversions and more of a cold audience with awareness. We also aim to take the audience on a journey through the marketing funnel so that they're made aware of our exhibitions, given a chance to engage with exhibition content, and then surge more of a call to action, like buy tickets now.
As an agency, we understand different audiences and the channel mix is key. Some audiences suit more traditional media and some more digital. We were keen to include awareness and consideration ad types for Space, filling the funnel from the top down. So we've been working with Amy and the wider team to produce a strategy that covers all these areas.
We used to target largely based on demographics and interests to do with the exhibition itself. So for our Space exhibition, we would historically target people interested in NASA, astrophysics, those types of things. This leaves out psychographic and behavioural information. So things like what are those person's beliefs, what are their values and their purchasing habits. And this type of information can really help us to work out what content and copy they might respond to best. For example, two people who are interested in outer space, who are the same age, the same gender, and from the same place, might respond differently to an ad because one values getting a cheaper price, so they're looking for an inexpensive ticket, and then the other might be more influenced by other people's opinions, so they only want to visit the exhibition if it's well reviewed and they can see people posting about it online. With Space, we targeted using demographics and interests as we had done previously, but also introduced bespoke psychographic audience segments. These were created for us by an audience insight agency. The model is based on the general public, and within that, some of the segments represent people who are more likely to be Natural History Museum visitors. We have 3 core segments, and they're made up of people seeking fun and exciting activities, those looking to gain knowledge from their visit, and people who have a passion for wildlife and nature. In using these segments, we can drill down into things like what media those types of people consume, what genres they listen to or watch, and how they like to be spoken to, things like that. And in targeting in this way, we can increase our chances of serving the right ad to the right audience with the right language. So for example, we could tailor one ad towards people that want to know more about space and another towards people who want just a fun day out with learning about space as a bonus.
Before the exhibition launched, Amy and the team briefed us in with the audiences from their psychographic segmentation to inform our targeting. Previously for exhibitions, we've gone along the route of targeting the interest to do with the exhibition theme itself. So for space, this would be people who are interested in things like NASA, the Mars rover and similar. Whilst these are warmer audiences and they convert at high rates, they might already convert through owned and free channels, so we didn't want to waste too much budget on this area while still producing a lot of conversions. We had the ability to reach all sorts of audiences, so we wanted to make sure that they were the right ones. So when we started, we looked at all the possible targeting based on Natural History Museum segmentation, and then we narrowed this down to activity chasers, one of their segments, as an A/B test against the previous method of targeting, so that would be space enthusiasts. At the beginning, we were a little bit cautious. The platform's best practice is moving towards a more broad area of targeting where learnings are quicker because there's a better reach. But our psychographic segments way of targeting has worked better than previous methods, so we're really pleased with this. And we're happy we followed this because we have strong trust in Natural History Museum and we were able to be bold with testing this new strategy.
We had several objectives for the space campaign, the main one being driving ticket sales. We wanted to reach and engage a new audience based on activity chasers, which is one of the bespoke psychographic segments that I mentioned earlier. They are an audience looking for a fun experience. We also wanted to reach our secondary target audience, which is knowledge seekers. So that's an audience looking to learn something new through visiting the exhibition. We wanted to engage repeat visitors to the museum and to hit our core demographic focus for this exhibition, which is families with children aged 8 and above. Having said that, the main audience focus was based on the 2 psychographic segments, as the exhibition is suitable for single adults as well as families. Finally, we wanted to inspire conversation about life beyond Earth amongst families. During the campaign, we ran continuous and burst activity with 2 objectives. So we ran an always-on conversion campaign aiming to drive ticket sales, and for the burst we ran an awareness and engagement campaign, serving ads with less of a direct call to action. As I mentioned, we chose the activity chaser segment as our main target audience. This audience is made up of people who live for new experiences and like hunting for the best deals. They're influenced by peers, influencers and expert reviews. They're sociable, they're energetic, they lead busy lives, and they're always looking for new and exciting things to do. They look for days out that are guaranteed to be fun, where learning something is just a bonus. They're also digital first, so they use social media, they stream videos, and they engage with digital content more so than traditional media. They represent a small percentage of the museum's usual audience, so targeting them is a good opportunity for us to get new visitors through the door. This audience was the best fit because the exhibition is interactive and immersive. It's not just for those who want to learn the facts about space. People can touch a piece of the moon, they can smell what Mars might smell like, they can feel an asteroid and see what scientists think life might look like beyond Earth. It's not just educational, it's an experience.
So we started activity chasers targeting by targeting relevant interests to them. So things like Stranger Things, Glastonbury and Just Eat. While these themes seem irrelevant to space as an exhibition, that's how we reach that wider audience and it fits within the activity chasers profile. We then layered this with museums and science to create a walled garden approach. So there's some level of interest with Natural History Museum to guide the machine learning, but it also is reaching that wider audience that we might not have reached otherwise. This is what we tested against that space interest audience, and then over time that evolved. So we had 2 different psychographic segments. We had activity chasers versus knowledge seekers, which overlapped quite a lot with that space interests. The Natural History Museum gave us some really strong assets, which was such a gift. The custom creatives were primarily made in-house, with some produced elsewhere. We had different assets for awareness, traffic and conversion campaigns on Meta, tailoring to each of those areas specifically. We had such a great variety. For statics, we had artwork and photos, and for videos, we had traditional trailers and lo-fi assets. It's a bit more resource to create, but such a key part of our campaign and our strategy to tailor towards each of the audiences and each of the areas of strategy. For awareness, we had some lo-fi assets in the user-generated content style. So for activity chasers, this emphasised interactivity, fun, and being quite kid-friendly. Whereas for space interests, this was an Ask the Scientists video, where we had one of the experts from the museum talk about different elements in the exhibition. For conversion, we had 2 sets of carousels. For activity chasers, there were interactive elements that we really bigged up in those carousels. Whereas for space interests, we had elements showing like the Mars rover, which they might be interested in. For video, we had a traditional trailer, and then we repurposed an organic video that had worked really well on our free channels. And because that lo-fi video worked really, really well, we later made another in a similar style, which also worked well. For TikTok, we could also reuse a lot of this content, which was a really great way of saving resource. So in the past on TikTok, we've tried some polished videography, but it just doesn't perform quite as well. Users on there are digitally savvy, they know it's an ad as you're scrolling through, you know what's native, and so having something that's a bit more native in platform really worked well. Also, if it's entertaining, people will watch. Not everyone minds if it's an ad or not, if they're there to see what the video contains. We also used video views as a goal, and that fulfills that upper funnel awareness. Our lo-fi asset was the top performing one, which was great news because this is the cheapest to produce. We didn't need any special equipment or videographers. We could just walk through the exhibition to give the users a sneak peek, and that worked really well to reach the right people. This is also great for accessibility. People with additional needs can see what they might expect at the museum. There's no loud bangs or lights, and they can see what kind of stairs or ramps there might be. Just some tips for lo-fi if you're looking to produce this in your museum. You want to use a smartphone, and you want to be portrait, not landscape. You want to use smooth panning movements, add captions, and keep the imagery and text within the safe zones to make sure it's not hidden by any of the buttons in the platform. You can find key trends and hook the user within the first few seconds, and then end with a call to action so the user knows exactly what to do next. Some timeless concepts include "Come with me," 5 reasons to visit, or "You'll never believe." Those are great hooks to begin with. For the first time, we also produced some influencer content for paid advertising. So we chose Nigel Clark and Exploring London.
Hey folks, Nigel here. Now I've got a question for you. Could life exist beyond Earth? Well, I went down to the Natural History Museum to check out their brand new exhibition, Space, Could Life Exist Beyond Earth?
This exhibition is really cool. There's loads to do, like touch a piece of rock that is older than Earth itself. You can listen to loads of cool and interesting facts, smell what it might be like in different places in space, see what the surface of Mars might look like.
These were really good choices for the brand. They align nicely with the brand, and also more specifically with the activity chasers audience and with families in general. There is a slight misconception that influencers are really expensive, but the TikTok creator marketplace is a really great place to find influencers. They have a really great variety with different niches and number of followers to suit your aims and your budget.
When thinking about creative assets, a common challenge that museums face is wanting to launch ads before the exhibition opens to build up excitement and buzz, but because the exhibition isn't open yet, the team can't produce assets inside the exhibition, which is still being worked on. We used the exhibition artwork and animations as a stopgap here, and then moved on to images of models in the space and UGC-style content filmed in the space as soon as we could.
We know data is crucial for a good campaign. So as well as a new approach to targeting, we also use CRM data for the first time for retargeting and lookalike audiences. This means we're not relying on Meta's audiences, and we're using the data from the original source, which is really important. For example, we use mailing list signups or people that have been on the website before to retarget using their CRM data. This means that we're using that data in a privacy-safe way, which is becoming more and more important. Natural History Museum upload these lists, and then Crafted can use them with a privacy-safe way to make sure we're not infringing any GDPR issues. First-party data is really important. More users are denying cookies. We're still seeing the impact of iOS 14 a few years ago, and more platforms are becoming privacy-focused, so having that owned data is becoming more and more important. Keep the data robust and reliable. The awareness campaign was our A/B test starting in the summer, and that was our previous method of targeting, those space interests, versus the new psychographic segments, our activity chasers. We were so pleased to report that the new way of targeting produced 5 times as many post engagements, which was that campaign objective, 9 times as many link clicks, and 3 times as many purchases, so definitely a success. From what we can record, that's what we produced. There might even be more from users denying cookies or changing device or walking up that produce bookings later on. This campaign evolved over time. We're a data-driven agency and we always want to be flexible and agile to suit the results that are coming in. We had awareness and consideration bursts, and when those weren't live, we expanded on the always-on conversion campaign to make sure we covered as much reach as we could to keep that nice and strong, but not losing out on conversions either. The lookalike and retargeting audiences using that CRM data worked really, really well, but we also saw healthy results from those prospecting audiences, which is great news.
From our side, the results have been really positive. We've seen some really nice metrics coming through across the marketing funnel. At times where awareness and engagement has been outperforming conversions, we've had so many creatives and audiences to test that we've been able to tweak and optimize the campaign. The main result is that sales are doing really well. We've had over 100,000 people visit the exhibition, which we're really, really pleased with. And with ticket sales, we've seen people booking not just online in advance, but also with walk-ups, where people are booking in person when they get to the museum. Getting walk-ups just means that sometimes it's a bit difficult to attribute a ticket sale directly to a specific part of the campaign because you can't see the full customer journey. But it indicates that the awareness and the engagement that we're building throughout the digital campaign is resonating, and then the final step leading to conversion is on-site, where the exhibition is already in people's consideration set. And that's something that we do see with these types of exhibitions. We mainly get walk-ups with families, as they often don't tend to book in advance, so it's something that we were expecting. So we're really pleased with the campaign results so far, and whilst the full campaign has been running across other formats like out of home, brand partnerships and email, we can see from the metrics that paid social has definitely played a key role in the success of the wider campaign. Looking forward, we're also planning an upcoming traffic campaign to drive people through to our web-based content, which will add to the awareness that we've built and create a new audience that we can then retarget with a sales message further down the line. The traffic campaign is a nice middle stage between awareness and conversion, so people can explore exhibition content further without being asked to commit to buying a ticket. So what have we learned from this campaign so far, and what are the key takeaways? We learned a valuable lesson when we targeted broadly with interest-based targeting. So at one point in the campaign, we started receiving some negative comments on our ads. Whilst we were targeting people interested in the topic of space, we unintentionally found an audience that believed the Earth is flat. And so they were interested in the topic, but not in the way that we wanted them to be. So to address the issue, we adjusted our targeting to find people who were both interested in space as a topic and also interested in museums. And that worked, and that solved the issue for us. A key takeaway from the campaign is definitely that we can achieve stronger results when we use the psychographic segments in our targeting, as well as demographic information, interests, and CRM data. So it's worth looking into data that can tell you a bit more about your audience at a psychographic level. Another takeaway is that having a clear strategy helps to use budget effectively. So having specific objectives for each different audience and targeting them with a tailored creative and a tailored message makes for strong results. Having a variety of creatives means that you can run tests and optimize the campaign more easily. You can also alternate creatives throughout the campaign and hit different audiences with the type of content that they like to watch. Using first-party data for targeting is also becoming increasingly important. So if you can use first-party data, then you can still target people who are denying cookies, and you don't have to rely on Meta's audiences, so you have more control over your targeting. So that's it. That's our campaign for Space, Could Life Exist Beyond Earth? I hope listening to that has been useful and you've been able to take something away from it. So thank you for tuning in.